Faith is a peculiar thing. It is not seen, yet it moves mountains. It is not heard, yet it commands storms to be still. It is not held, yet it carries the weary across valleys they never thought they would survive. Faith is the key that fits no visible lock, yet it opens doors that once stood sealed and unshakable. It is the whisper in the dark, telling you to take a step when there is no ground in sight. It is the fire in your belly when the world tells you to give up. Some call it foolishness, others call it bravery, but those who have walked in faith, those who have leaped before the bridge was built, they will tell you it is the only way to see doors open that were never meant to be touched by ordinary hands. Have you ever stood before a door that would not move? You pushed, you knocked, you pleaded, but it did not budge. You watched others walk through their own doors, saw them step into their blessings, while yours remained closed, silent, unmoving. And in that moment, doubt crept in, whispering its cruel little lies. Perhaps this door is not for you, it said. Perhaps you were never meant to walk through it. And so some turn away, shoulders slumped, hearts heavy, accepting the lie as truth. But others, oh others, they do something different. They do not wait for the door to open. They do not ask for permission to walk into their destiny. They move in faith, and suddenly, what was once locked begins to shift. Faith is not just believing. It is movement. It is the kind of movement that does not make sense to the world. It is stepping forward when logic screams at you to stay still. It is walking into the unknown with nothing but a whisper from deep within saying, go. And when you move in faith, doors do not just open, they open wide, swinging back with a force that no man, no obstacle, no enemy can hold shut. I have seen it. I have lived it. I have watched doors remain closed until the moment my feet moved, until the second my spirit said, I will walk, even if I do not see the way. There are doors that do not respond to begging. There are doors that will not move for tears. But when faith enters the room, when faith rises from within, the hinges shake, the locks break, and suddenly, what was once impossible becomes inevitable. Faith does not wait for proof. It does not stand idle, demanding signs and guarantees. Faith moves. Faith leaps. Faith stands in the face of impossibility and laughs because it knows that there is something greater, something unseen, something more powerful than the walls that try to keep it out. And the moment you decide to move in faith, you will find that doors you never even knocked on begin to open before you. Have you ever seen a person walk with such confidence that doors seem to part for them? Have you ever watched someone who refuses to be afraid, refuses to shrink, refuses to hesitate? They are not moving because they see the way. They are moving because they know the way will appear. And that is the difference between those who wait for doors to open and those who walk in faith. One stands still, hoping, while the other moves, knowing. There will be voices telling you to wait, telling you to be careful, telling you to turn back. There will be voices that mock you, that laugh at the idea of walking forward when no path is in sight. But listen to me. If you wait for everything to be perfect before you move, you will never move. If you wait for the door to open before you take the first step, you will never walk through it. Faith is walking toward the ocean before the waters part. Faith is stretching out your hand before the miracle happens. Faith is saying, I am already there, before your feet even touch the ground. And when you move like that, when you step out, even when fear claws at your heels, the doors that once stood locked begin to open, as if they had been waiting for you all along. You see, some doors are not locked at all. Some doors only appear to be closed because they are waiting for you to push. They are waiting for you to believe enough to move. They are waiting for you to trust that on the other side of that door is everything you have been praying for, everything you have been working for, everything that was meant for you before the foundations of the earth were laid. But faith does not make the journey easy. No, faith is tested in the waiting. Faith is tested when the doors do not open right away. Faith is tested when the path remains unclear, when the voices of doubt grow louder, when fear tries to paralyze you where you stand. But if you can keep walking, if you can keep pressing forward even when it feels like nothing is happening, you will see what so many never see. You will see doors open, not because they were unlocked, but because your faith was the key. I have seen doors swing wide for those who refuse to let fear win. I have seen mountains bow before those who dared to walk as if they already had the victory. I have seen impossibilities turn into testimonies for those who chose faith over fear, movement over stagnation, courage over hesitation. And so, I ask you now, Are you willing to move? Are you willing to step forward, even when the way is not clear? Are you willing to trust that the door will open? Not because you see it move, but because you believe it must? The choice is yours. The door is waiting. The moment you move in faith, the moment you decide that you will not let fear hold you captive, you will see what so many never see. You will see doors open that no man can close. Faith does not bargain. It does not negotiate with circumstances. It does not ask for permission from fear or doubt. Faith moves because it knows that movement itself is the language of miracles. The moment you decide to move, the forces that once held you back begin to lose their grip. The doors that once stood silent begin to groan under the weight of a power they cannot resist. But so many people hesitate. They stand before the door, examining it, questioning it, wondering if it was meant for them at all. They waste their energy searching for signs, for proof, for assurances that the path ahead will be smooth. And all the while, faith is whispering, just move. You must understand that faith does not require certainty. It does not demand that you see every step laid out before you. If the road were clear, if the door were already open, there would be no need for faith at all. But faith thrives in the unknown. It flourishes in the places where logic fails, where reason runs out, where all that remains is a deep, unshakable knowing that even though you cannot see the way has already been made for you. Think of the moments in your life when you stood still, when fear whispered that it was safer not to try, when doubt told you to turn around. Think of all the opportunities lost, all the dreams abandoned, all the doors that never opened simply because you never moved toward them. And now think of the times when you leaped, when you took a chance, when you stepped out, even though everything in you screamed to stay back. What happened? Did the ground not rise to meet you? Did the way not appear just when you needed it? Did the doors not open one after another as if they had been waiting for you all along? The truth is, doors do not open for those who stand still. They open for those who dare to walk forward before they even see the handle turn. And the more you move, the more you will see that faith is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It is about creating the moment through action, through belief, through a refusal to let circumstances dictate your destiny. The world will always offer reasons to stay where you are. It will always tell you that the risk is too great, that the unknown is too dangerous, that you are not ready. But tell me, when has waiting ever made a person ready? When has hesitation ever built a bridge to greatness? Those who achieve, those who reach heights that others only dream of, they are not the ones who had all the answers. They are the ones who move forward in faith, even when the answers were nowhere in sight. There are doors in your life right now that are waiting for your movement. There are opportunities waiting for your courage. There are miracles waiting for your obedience. But as long as you stand still, as long as you keep waiting for certainty, you will never see what is on the other side. The only way to know if the door will open is to walk toward it. The only way to know if the path will appear is to take the first step. Some will say, but what if I move and nothing happens? What if you move and the door does not open? What if you step forward and the way does not appear? Ah, but what if it does? What if the very act of moving is what causes the door to unlock? What if the ground does not appear beneath your feet until the moment they touch the earth? Faith does not ask, what if I fail? Faith asks, what if this is the moment everything changes? And when you begin to ask that question, when you begin to shift your focus from fear to possibility, you will find that the very act of movement carries a power you never knew you had. There is no greatness in standing still. There is no victory in hesitation. The world is full of people who spent their lives waiting for the right time, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for a door to open while they stood still, afraid to knock. But those who move, those who walk forward with nothing but faith as their guide, they are the ones who see doors swing wide. They are the ones who discover that the doors were never locked in the first place. They were simply waiting for someone with enough faith to push them open. Do you think the giants of history waited for permission to step into their purpose? Do you think the pioneers, the innovators, the revolutionaries stood still, waiting for certainty? No, they moved. They walked when the road was invisible. They climbed when the mountain was steep. They believed when everything around them said it was impossible. And because they moved, doors opened that no one believed could be opened. You have that same power within you. The only difference between those who walk into their destiny and those who never do is the willingness to move when nothing makes sense, the willingness to trust that what you need will be provided the moment you step forward. Faith is not about understanding the whole journey, it is about taking the first step and trusting that the rest will unfold. It is about knowing that even when the way is unclear, even when the doors seem locked, there is a force greater than you working in your favor. But that force cannot work with hesitation. It cannot move through doubt. It requires action. It requires belief. It requires movement. So I ask you again, are you willing to move? Are you willing to take that step, even when fear tells you to stay back? Are you willing to push on the door, even when it looks like it will not budge? Because the moment you do, you will find that the doors open, not because they were always open, but because your faith demanded that they must. There will always be those who stand outside the door, afraid to try. There will always be those who choose to wait, who choose to hope that maybe, someday, the door will open on its own. But that is not the way of faith. That is not the way of those who see miracles. The ones who see doors open are the ones who walk toward them with confidence, knowing that the very act of movement is the key that unlocks what once seemed impossible. Your future is waiting. Your purpose is waiting. The doors you have been praying for, the opportunities you have been hoping for, they are all waiting for you to move. And the moment you do, the moment you step forward in faith, you will find that the doors do not just open, they open wide, as if they had been waiting for you all along. Faith is not just an idea, not just a comforting thought to hold on to in times of trouble. It is the force that shifts the very foundation of what is possible. It is the unseen hand that turns the lock, the invisible wind that pushes open doors, the quiet yet unshakable power that calls forth miracles. And yet so many refuse to move. They stand still, waiting for something to happen before they believe, waiting for a sign before they act, waiting for certainty before they risk. But faith is not born in certainty. Faith is born in the unknown. It is shaped in the silence, strengthened in the waiting, and activated the moment you decide to move, even when you do not know what is on the other side. Have you ever seen a child take their first step? They do not hesitate. They do not ask, "What if I fall?" They do not demand proof that their feet will hold them. No, they simply move. And when they do, something powerful happens. With each step, their balance strengthens, their confidence grows, and before long, they are running. They did not wait for certainty. They did not stand still until they had mastered the art of walking. They simply moved. And in that movement, the strength to continue was revealed. That is how faith works. It does not give you everything at once. It does not lay out the entire plan before you begin. It simply asks, will you move first? There are doors in life that will not respond to logic. They will not open to reason. They will not be persuaded by intellect or calculation. They respond only to faith. And faith, true faith, does not waver in the face of delay. It does not shrink in the face of opposition. It does not retreat when the first knock goes unanswered. It stands firm. It keeps walking. It keeps pressing forward because it knows that doors do not open for those who stand idle. They open for those who refuse to stop moving. Some have been waiting their whole lives for a door to open, not realizing that the door has been waiting for them to move. Some have been pleading for a way to be made, not realizing that the way already exists. It is just hidden beyond the horizon, only visible to those who are willing to take the first step. There are things in this life that will never be revealed to those who do not move. There are blessings that will never be unlocked for those who refuse to act. The doors you are praying for, the opportunities you are hoping for, they are waiting for you to take action. The world has a way of convincing people to stay where they are. It whispers that safety is found in the known, that security is in what you can see and control. But faith laughs at such ideas. Faith does not seek safety. Faith does not cling to what is familiar. Faith stretches, reaches, pushes beyond the limits of the visible. And because of that, faith sees what others never see. Faith walks where others never dare to tread. Faith enters doors that others never even knew existed. There will always be those who mock faith, who call it foolishness, who laugh at the idea of moving forward when there is no evidence that anything will change. But those who mock have never seen what faith can do. They have never watched doors fly open because someone dared to believe. They have never seen the impossible become possible simply because someone refused to accept defeat. Faith is not for the weak-hearted. It is not for those who demand guarantees before they act. It is for the bold, the relentless, the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their steps. You may be standing before a door right now. You may be staring at something that seems immovable, something that has remained shut for so long that you have begun to believe it will never open. But I tell you, that door is waiting for your movement. It is waiting for your faith. It is waiting for you to push, to knock, to step forward, even when everything in you says to turn back. And the moment you do, you will find that it was never truly locked. It was never truly closed. It was simply waiting for you to believe enough to walk toward it. Faith is not just about walking toward doors, it is about walking through them. Some have moved, some have taken steps, but the moment the door opened, fear gripped them. The moment the opportunity came, doubt whispered that they were not ready. So they stood at the threshold, afraid to enter. But what is the use of an open door if you do not walk through it? What is the use of movement if you stop before the journey is complete? Faith is not just about reaching the door. It is about stepping through it with confidence, knowing that what is on the other side is exactly what was meant for you. There are those who hesitate because they fear what is beyond the door. They wonder if they are strong enough, wise enough, capable enough to handle what awaits them. But faith does not ask if you are ready. Faith does not wait for you to feel prepared. It says, walk through the door and everything you need will be given to you as you go. The provision is in the movement. The strength is in the stepping. The wisdom is in the walking. You do not have to have everything figured out before you move. You just have to move. You were not meant to stay outside the door forever. You were not meant to wander in uncertainty, hoping that someday something will change. The door is already there. The way is already made. The path is already set before you. But none of it will be revealed until you take that step, until you knock with unwavering belief, until you declare with every fiber of your being that you will not let fear, doubt, or hesitation keep you from what is yours. There will be resistance. There will be moments when the door seems heavier than you expected, when the path seems longer than you imagined. There will be times when everything in you wants to turn around, when every voice tells you that you have gone far enough. But faith does not retreat. Faith does not turn back. Faith does not surrender to difficulty. It presses on. It keeps moving, knowing that the breakthrough is always just beyond the point where most people give up. Think of all the doors you have already walked through. Think of all the moments in your life when you moved in faith, when you stepped out, even when you were unsure. Did the way not open? Did the doors not swing wide? And if they did then, why would they not do so now? The same force that carried you before is ready to carry you again. The same power that opened doors before is waiting to do it again. But it will not move without you. It will not act without your faith. So move. Move when you are uncertain. Move when you are afraid. Move when the way seems unclear. Move when the door looks impossible to open. Move when everything in you says to wait, to hesitate, to stay where you are. Because the moment you move, the moment you walk toward the unknown, with faith as your guide, you will see what so many never see. You will see doors open that were once thought to be closed forever. You will see paths appear where there were once only walls. You will see miracles unfold simply because you dared to believe. And when you look back, when you stand on the other side of the doors that once stood before you, you will understand the truth that faith has been whispering all along, that the doors were never locked. They were never meant to keep you out. They were always waiting for you to move, waiting for you to believe, waiting for you to push forward with the kind of faith that cannot be denied. Faith does not beg for permission. It does not wait for circumstances to align perfectly. It does not pause for confirmation from the doubters, the critics, or the fearful ones who have made a home in hesitation. Faith moves because faith knows that movement itself is the spark that ignites the impossible. The doors that seem locked, the walls that seem unshakable, the paths that seem hidden, they all bow to the force of faith in motion. And yet, so many stand still, trapped by the weight of what-ifs, paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, unwilling to trust that the ground will rise to meet them the moment they step forward. But what they do not realize is that faith is a living thing. It breathes, it expands, it grows stronger with every step taken. It does not thrive in stillness. It does not grow in hesitation. Faith requires action. It requires risk. It requires a heart that is willing to walk into the fog of uncertainty with nothing but belief as its guide. The doors of destiny do not respond to hesitation. They do not swing open for those who simply wish, who simply dream, who simply hope. They open for those who act. Think back to the moments in your life when you moved in faith, the moments when you took a leap, not because you had proof of what was ahead, but because something deep inside you refused to stay where you were. What happened? Did the sky not hold you? Did the ground not steady beneath your feet? Did the way not open before you step by step as though it had been waiting for you all along? Yet so many refuse to move. They stand at the threshold, staring at the door, asking questions that have no answers until movement begins. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I am not strong enough, not ready enough, not worthy enough? And in the time spent asking these questions, the door remains closed, not because it cannot open, but because it is waiting for a hand with enough faith to turn the handle. You must understand that the doors of opportunity do not respond to fear. They do not respond to doubt. They do not open for those who simply wish things were different. They open for those who move forward with a certainty that cannot be shaken, a belief so strong that even the impossible must bow before it. The world belongs to those who refuse to be paralyzed by uncertainty. The greatest victories, the most miraculous breakthroughs, the most extraordinary transformations, they are all reserved for those who act, for those who trust that what they cannot yet see is more real than the obstacles before them. Some people wait their whole lives for a sign, for confirmation, for the right moment, but the right moment is now. The confirmation is the fire in your spirit, the tug in your heart, the undeniable knowing that you were made for more. The people who change the world, the ones who defy expectations, who break barriers, who walk through doors that once seemed impossible, they are not the ones who had all the answers. They are the ones who moved when the answers were still hidden, who stepped forward when the way was still unclear, who knocked on the door even when there was no sign it would open. There's something about faith that confuses the logical mind. The world teaches us to plan, to prepare, to make sure every step is accounted for before we move. But faith does not operate under those rules. Faith does not need a blueprint. It does not need every detail laid out in advance. Faith needs only one thing: movement. Because the moment you step forward, the moment you act on what you know in your spirit to be true, the universe rearranges itself to make way for you. The greatest enemy of faith is not failure. It is not resistance. It is not even fear. The greatest enemy of faith is waiting too long. It is the hesitation, the delaying, the overthinking that causes dreams to wither before they ever have the chance to bloom. How many doors have remained shut simply because someone was too afraid to walk toward them? How many lives have remained unchanged simply because someone was too afraid to take the first step? Some will say, but what if I step forward and the door does not open? But I ask you, what if it does? What if the very act of moving is what causes the impossible to become possible? What if the courage to act is what activates the miracle you have been waiting for? And if the door does not open, perhaps it is because you are meant to build your own. Perhaps you are meant to create something new, something no one else has dared to create before. The truth is, those who move in faith never lose, even when the answer is not what they expected, even when the path is different from what they imagined. They are always better for having moved. They are always stronger, wiser, braver, because faith is never wasted. It never returns empty. It always accomplishes something, even if that something is simply proving to you that you are capable of more than you ever believed. The world will tell you to be careful. It will tell you to wait, to make sure everything is lined up before you take a step. But faith tells you to move. It tells you to trust. It tells you that the doors will open when you arrive, not before. And if you listen to faith, if you trust in the power of movement, you will see things that others never see. You will walk through doors that others never even knew existed. There are people right now who are standing before doors that could change their lives, but they will never know what is on the other side because they are too afraid to knock. There are people right now who are one step away from their breakthrough, but they will never reach it because they are too afraid to take that step. But that does not have to be your story. You do not have to live a life of waiting, of wondering, of regretting the chances you never took. You can move now. You can act now. You can step forward now, knowing that the very act of movement is what will open the doors before you. You do not have to know every detail of what lies ahead. You do not have to have everything figured out. You only have to trust that what is meant for you will meet you on the path. that the doors will open as you walk, that the way will be made as you move. Because faith is not about seeing, it is about knowing. It is about stepping forward even when you cannot see the whole picture, trusting that the picture is already complete, waiting only for you to step into it. There will be moments when the journey is difficult, when the door seems heavier than you expected, when the way seems longer than you imagined. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that separate those who merely dream from those who walk into their destiny. Because faith does not quit. Faith does not turn back. Faith does not surrender to the obstacles in its path. It presses on, it keeps moving, and in the end, it sees doors open that no one believed could be opened. So whatever door stands before you, whatever path you are afraid to walk, whatever step you have been hesitating to take, do not wait any longer. Move in faith, step forward with confidence, push open the door with boldness, because the moment you do, you will find that the doors do not just open, they swing wide, as if they had been waiting for you all along. Faith is not measured in words, nor is it proven in mere thoughts. It is measured in movement, in the willingness to step forward when there is no guarantee, in the courage to push ahead even when the way is unclear. Faith does not wait for the road to be paved, for the sky to clear, for the signs to be obvious. It steps into the unknown, knowing that the unknown must yield to those who refuse to be bound by fear. There are those who say they believe, yet they stand still, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for a voice from the heavens to confirm what they already know deep inside. But faith does not linger in hesitation. Faith does not stand at the edge of the river, waiting for the water to part before stepping in. It steps first, and in stepping, the way is revealed. It moves first, and in moving, the impossible becomes possible. How many doors have remained shut simply because no one dared to knock? How many opportunities have slipped away because hesitation took the place of faith? The door does not open for those who wait. It does not swing wide for those who stand at a distance, peering through the cracks, hoping that someday, somehow, it will open on its own. No, the door opens for those who approach with boldness, for those who believe so deeply that they refuse to let doubt hold them back. Faith is not about comfort. It is not about ease. It does not promise a smooth journey or a road free of obstacles. It promises only that if you move, if you trust, if you take the step, the way will be made. Some people want faith to eliminate all risk, to guarantee success before they even begin, but that is not how faith works. Faith demands that you act before you see the result. It requires that you walk even when the path is hidden, that you trust even when the outcome is uncertain. Think of all the times in history when people moved in faith and changed the course of their lives and the lives of countless others. They did not wait for certainty. They did not wait for approval. They did not wait for every detail to be laid out before them. They moved because something in their spirit told them that staying still was no longer an option. And because they moved, doors opened. Because they moved, barriers fell. Because they moved, the impossible surrendered. But what of those who do not move? What of those who let fear hold them captive, who let doubt keep them from their destiny? They spend their lives waiting, hoping, wishing that something will change. But wishing does not open doors. Hoping does not build bridges. Only action does. Only faith in motion can bring about the kind of transformation that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Some will say, but what if I fail? What if the door does not open? What if I walk forward and the way does not appear? But I ask you, what if it does? What if the very thing you fear is the thing that will elevate you? What if the struggle is part of the process, part of the preparation for what lies ahead? Faith does not avoid challenges. It embraces them, knowing that every obstacle is an opportunity to grow, to learn, to become stronger than you were before. There are those who have spent years waiting for a door to open, never realizing that the key was in their hands all along. They have prayed for direction, for a sign, for confirmation, but they have ignored the simple truth that faith is not about waiting, it is about moving. The way is not revealed in stillness. It is revealed in the act of stepping forward, in the willingness to walk toward what seems impossible, in the decision to act even when fear whispers, "What if?" Some of the greatest victories in life come to those who refuse to let uncertainty dictate their choices. They do not wait for everything to be perfect. They do not let fear of failure keep them from trying. They move forward, knowing that even if they stumble, even if they face resistance, even if the first door does not open, the journey itself is worth it. Because faith is not just about reaching the destination, it is about what happens along the way. It is about the growth, the resilience, the wisdom that comes from daring to believe in something greater than what the eyes can see. And what about those who laugh at faith? Those who mock those who dare to believe in the unseen? They are the ones who have never witnessed what faith can do. They have never seen doors fly open because someone dared to knock. They have never watched as mountains move because someone refused to accept the limits of what was expected. They speak of logic, of reason, of caution, but they do not understand that some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came not from logic, but from faith in action. There are people right now who are standing on the edge of something great, something life-changing, but they are afraid to take that first step. They are afraid of the unknown, afraid of what lies beyond the door, afraid that if they move, they might fail. But what they do not realize is that the greatest failure is not in trying and falling short. The greatest failure is in never trying at all. It is in standing still while life moves on. It is in letting fear write the story instead of faith. The moment you move, the moment you push past the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, you will see doors open in ways you never imagined. You will see opportunities unfold that seemed impossible before. You will experience breakthroughs that once felt out of reach. And you will realize that the only thing that was ever truly standing in your way was the belief that you had to wait for permission, that you had to wait for certainty, that you had to wait for a sign. The sign has always been there. It is in the stirring in your spirit. It is in the restlessness that refuses to let you stay where you are. It is in the small voice inside that tells you that there is more for you, that you were made for greater things, that you were never meant to stay outside the door, hoping it will open on its own. You were meant to walk up to it, to knock with authority, to step forward with confidence, knowing that faith does not ask for guarantees. Faith creates them. So whatever you are waiting for, whatever dream you have put on hold, whatever door you have been afraid to approach, move toward it now. Take the step. Knock with conviction. Walk forward, not because you can see every detail of what lies ahead, but because you trust that the path will be revealed as you go. Because faith does not just open doors, it makes a way where there was no way. It transforms impossibilities into realities. It changes everything, but only for those who are willing to move. Faith is not a passive thing. It is not a quiet hope or a distant wish. It is a force that moves, that acts, that refuses to be held back by fear or uncertainty. Every great breakthrough, every open door, every impossible victory begins with a single step of faith. Those who wait for perfect conditions will wait forever, but those who move, even when the path is unclear, will find that the way is made as they walk. Doors do not open to hesitation. They do not respond to fear. They open to those who dare to believe, to those who trust that the unseen is more powerful than what is seen. Faith does not eliminate challenges, but it gives you the strength to face them. It does not promise an easy road, but it guarantees that if you keep moving, you will reach places you never imagined possible. The time for waiting is over. The time for doubting is done. The door before you is waiting, not for luck, not for chance, but for you to step forward and turn the handle. Move in faith and watch the doors open wide, as if they had been waiting for you all along.